Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board for Tuesday, March 18th. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tim's knocking.
Yep.
And for those who weren't here when we were talking before, the astronauts have landed safely.
Yay, Sonny's
They
back
are
home.
back.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I have been getting a play-by-play
Oh,
from
you
one of
have?
my students.
I stayed to
Ooh,
watch it.
every time they had to reschedule and this didn't go and now, okay, good.
You know, that, they could make a movie, like, you know, what
I
is,
bet they will.
yeah, of
Yeah.
this, you know.
Right?
Yeah, it's
For
like
sure.
Gilligan's Island, you know, 3-hour tour.
Right,
Or
exactly.
Danger Will Robinson.
Yeah.
I
Lost
don't know
in
if this was
space.
so unusual, I think it was just made pretty, it was hyped up a lot. I think it
Was it?
Would you wanna be
Yeah,
up
it's not
on,
unusual.
Yeah,
This happens quite a bit.
where we have people stranded?
well,
But they had
For
a
that
spacecraft
long?
right there. They could have sent them back.
well, there's a certain person who needed his ego stoked by
Oh.
being a rescuer of
That's
these
true.
astronauts.
Say
And
what now?
there's a certain, I said there was a certain person who needed his ego stroked by being the rescuer of these astronauts
But
who were
they
stranded,
were
although
left-
it's very common for them to be left for a little bit because they aren't
Oh,
returned.
yeah, no, this was planned in August of last year, and they could not come down, because of what they were doing there and repairs until March. And the earliest they could come down, was, the second, third week, basically mid-March, early March, late March, with their windows to come down. 'Cause you gotta think of the atmosphere, there's always these windows that they can come down in, and, you know, so I know that the current administration wanted them to come down earlier, it could not happen, and NASA told them no, because there'd be another Challenger accident waiting to happen. So
Love that.
the earliest they come down was March, and it was planned
One of those
late
atmospheric
in August.
rivers,
So
right?
it was
Okay.
planned,
Probably.
and it was everything, and we're happy with everything, and everything happened as planned, everything's on schedule, so we're happy in NASA.
So are you still in contact with your NASA people?
Oh, yeah, that's
I would think so.
Yeah. And, you know, but
Seems to
I
be
talk all the
speaking
time,
from
the policy and everything, so I still converse with my NASA people.
Very good.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
That makes sense, those atmosphere.
I'd like to ask for the approval of the consent agenda for the library board meeting minutes from February 18th and also the library expenditures. May I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Joseph, may I have a second?
Second.
Brett,
She looked
second.
right
We have
at
a
me.
motion and a second. Any questions on the, either the minutes or the expenditures? Guess who has a question?
Of course.
I hope it's one I can answer, because
It
there's just
probably
one
will.
that I'm not sure about.
No,
but-
I'm sure this would. I see we had the large payment for the blinds. What percentage now of blinds do we have? Because we had the payment to the
Yeah.
shade.
Yeah, so we're almost wrapped, well, we are probably 50%, a little bit more than 50%.
This was part of our capital for this year, correct? Or,
That, yes, it should be part of the capital. Well, this one, actually, the one that's on our list right now is the one that they're installing soon, that just went through.
okay, but that's for this year's capital dollars that we got from the county that has a city match?
No.
No,
it's-
we're not,
That's just, yeah, we'll have another blind run after this.
and that'll be one that will be a match. So then we should be pretty close to having most of the blinds?
We should be getting pretty close to the
Okay, are
end.
we doing them in here or?
I didn't ask if you'd like to do them.
No, these are fine for what
They
we
look
use
good.
them for. I'm just curious.
So-
I was just curious.
It's an
how the
option.
plan-
They look fine to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think these are fine. Okay, that was my question. I guess you could have answered it.
Yep.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial reports. Joseph.
Yeah, we had $49 of interest in the money market account and 6 cents of interest in the programming account. And then there were 3 checks that went out.
Okay.
There were 2 checks that went out, and then there was a check written in December that I had written the wrong number for. So that 175 was an additional 175 that went to Randy Peterson. And then the half twisted, half not was a performance, and the volunteer center had a baking program.
I think that's one we're in conjunction with, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one we're partnering with
Yes.
And I'm going to
tonight.
557.
Oh, she has to leave it.
How long does it take to walk from here to the store?
Well, we gotta make sure it keeps going then. No extra talking.
Right.
Any questions for Joseph regarding the finances? I do see we've gotten the money from the county, because it was added in here to this.
Yeah, the first payment should be in there.
Should be, yeah, because we're back over $1 million again. And have you heard anything on the city audit?
Yes, I have, and that should be wrapping up. Early April, I think. May was the time that they said would be when we can
The
start.
true up,
Yeah.
okay. All right, library director's report.
Really, already?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just put my papers away. Oh, that's not important anymore. I got a few things. First of all, the outstanding projects, we have a payment going out for blinds from last year that didn't get caught. They didn't invoice us last year. They should have invoiced us last year. There was a mistake on their end at some point, but we had to pay half of that. That's $9,251.83. And then we did our project for blinds this year. I told Lori to pay the full amount all at once so we don't have this problem again. So that'll be $21,443. And what will be done with the blinds at that point will be
And that was the payment I was questioning.
the youth area, and then there's blinds on the upper windows by the stairs. And I had determined that those were the most troublesome, because when you walk up those stairs and the sun starts shining directly in them, it's very hard to
Navigate.
navigate
Yeah.
that. So that's,
Those are high blinds.
yeah.
Oh,
And,
man.
and they said it's gonna cost a little bit more because of that, but
The height,
they
yeah.
gave us a discount anyway, and it seemed
Okay,
like.
and
it
we
was
paid for
reasonable.
that.
So that should come out, yeah. And then we did have so our Storytime room, AV system was not working properly. It's been several years. It was not, I guess it always had difficulty. But we said we need to fix that, so that'll be another project coming out. It's $8,715.
When is that scheduled?
That is, the work's done, so we just have to pay them
Oh,
on
okay.
that one.
And is it working properly?
I've been told it's great so far. So I have not played with it yet. I will know on
Maybe you
Thursday.
shouldn't.
You're right, maybe I shouldn't. I will know on Thursday, what that is. I think we talked about this before. The people that did it before did it like really a home user kind of setup where they put equipment in that wasn't commercial grade. Now it's connected in with the other system that we have for the reading room, has a microphone, things should be better. And then also the same tool we have here, we could just plug a device into any computer or whatever and project onto the screen. And we saw that last time with
Yeah.
Denver, actually. So that's all set up in there, and it's done well. I really like the guy who did the work. He works quickly, and whatever he does seems to work. So
Good.
I'm happy about that. We will have the CIP this year with security modifications, $50,000. That's going to be fobbing a couple of the doors. I think there's 4 or 5 doors. I can't remember for sure. 5, Brad said. We have $27,000 scheduled for CIP for window blinds. So what we will have is the lower area on the west, and then the north side of the lower area needs to be done, or could be done, which doesn't need to be done, could be done. And then there's a couple upstairs that could be done as well yet, basically the study rooms, and I think that pretty much covers the upper area. There's offices, I didn't think we would do those. I think we'll just struggle along with the blinds that we have, or the blinds instead of the shades in the offices.
Okay, that, CIP, that's 50,000 for security, 27 for the blind. Is that, what the city is also, the 50-50?
Well, the total,
Was this capital from the county?
the county capital will be 50% of this. And then there was one more
Okay.
project that we had for the slate removal up front and putting in carpeting or,
Okay, okay,
LVP.
and that's the 50-50,
so that's,
all of this is the 50-50?
yeah, total that all up, and we should have double whatever this, the
And this
county gives
was
us.
put into last year's CIP, so it'll be done this year.
It should be done this year, yes.
Great.
The security, 50,000, is that just putting the fobbing technology in, or is that actually the fobs and any support if we have any issues?
That would be everything, and it's actually the same system that the city uses, so they'll still run it at the city, program our fobs, and
It's the software and everything.
the software, and it'll just be the fobs that we need to have access. And they've already have that relationship with that company. And
Okay.
then there's gonna be a couple more security cameras as well in that.
You talked about that last month, you talked about needing a few more security cameras.
Yeah. So while we're talking about CIP, I'll just jump along to, I'm gonna share something here if I can. Hopefully I can. Share screen, how do I do this? Share. Some people share anywhere, okay. I may have talked about this before. Oh no. I want to share this. Okay,
6.
Open
You
up.
gotta wait for this.
Oh.
There it is.
Yeah.
This is what I want to share. And I just have to figure out how to do it. Because I'd like to have,
Do a share screen. Yeah, that one.
this one up here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now,
Do window.
here
That
we
one.
are. Thank you. No, I am the old man now. Used to do very well with computers and stuff. This is a really big spreadsheet collection. It's got all the collection data for all the 5 libraries in Washington County. And I think I alluded to it last time, but I know I didn't bring this because I had it on my desk after our meeting and I said, oh, dang, or something like that. What we have here on the left-hand side is the circulation by collection parent in the whole system of our collection. So in our collection, overall, 46% of our circulation was juvenile, 4% was young adult. I don't know what other is, but that's 1%. And then adult was 50%. And then in Washington County, oh wait, no, this is just our library, I'm sorry. The circulation was 50% juvenile, so we circulate more juvenile items. And the other percentage stayed the same, and 46% adult items. And here we have the collection. So 35% of our collection is juvenile, and adult is 59%.
So we should have a bigger collection.
Right.
I'm glad you came to that conclusion. that's what this leads me to believe. We should definitely expand our juvenile collection to meet the needs of the people who are using the library right now. So this is something to keep in mind. This is great that we had and we will update this, at some point we'll update it with new information. This is all the data up to the middle of December. We have a volunteer who decided to put this together. He's a data analyst for a company, and he's fantastic. He did all this work for me, and he said, what other questions do you want answered? So if you have other questions about our collection, I thought this was a really good start.
And he did this for all 5 libraries?
Yeah, I asked him to do it for all Washington
Have
County.
you shared those with them?
We all have a copy of
What do
this.
they think?
I haven't heard much yet.
I think this is great.
We did, I wonder if I can show you how this plays out for another library. I'm just going to show you Slinger here.
You probably get-
So Slinger,
Well, they're bigger.
they did a little bit better with
Wow.
the collection management over the years. So, and they all, I shared this information with them, and we talked about it, and they said this was eye-opening for them to see that their collections are,
That's
Sounds
big.
like us.
yeah.
Jack
Um,
Russell?
Yep, Jack Russell will be the last. So Jack Russell looked close to what we did, although they had a lot more juvenile use as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you've been on the board, a couple of us have been on the board for a long time. And remember when we kept always harping on we had to get the juveniles up there? Well, it looks like something is working. Years ago, it was always, we need to, what we can do to get more juniors, you know, the middle age, younger age group, the young adults. So this is really great.
Yep.
What do you see when you look at like the different collection grouping? Are they mostly, I'm assuming they're mostly taking out books. But is the video games increasing? I guess don't know.
I might break
Oh,
things.
I would say video. I went to a program and Amber presented it, Amber and Cindy, and they were talking about the extent of the videos. They have people who are waiting when they put a video back, somebody's waiting right there to take it. So yeah, the video collections are,
This won't
real
have any
popular.
data for our specific video game collection because we did not launch it until January.
Oh,
So none of that, our information will be in there for video games. But we'll keep slicing up the collection to determine what are important aspects for us, and this will help us, help guide us in collection development, and
this is cool.
this is really neat.
Yeah.
Now, you're not gonna love the next part.
Uh-oh.
Well, maybe you will, I don't know. But if you look at this need for more youth materials, and you look at our youth section, there's not a whole lot of room for that.
no, there isn't.
So, I would propose that, we consider having because otherwise it's just Steve, and I'm pretty smart, but, I don't know that too many people buy into that. And we need to make a case for probably moving the collection for the youth, or figuring out how we're gonna expand our
Well, we
collection.
had talked about that,
collection.
moving the children's
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
so maybe at the same time we're doing that, we could just do a look at, you know, would you move the children's and maybe expand the youth farther out that way? Or what, have you any
Well-
ideas?
Well, this is, I guess the easiest thing I thought to do, and it's controversial, but this is just one idea, and I think we need to explore a lot of ideas. The easiest thing to do would be to switch the nonfiction collection upstairs with the youth collection. But then we need to create, because we moved the young adult collection upstairs, we'll need to create some barrier between the young adult
Right.
collection and the youth collection. Or we'll have to figure out some way to work that around. We also have upstairs the computers and study rooms. The study rooms are most heavily used by kids after school. During the day, we do have a lot of tutoring in there, so that probably wouldn't change much. There are some times that adults use the study rooms, so we would still have a call for study rooms in the adult area. And I would want to have some kind of recreated study space for adults if they want that private space, or more private space, it's not really private space, downstairs. Brad and I have talked about this a lot.
That's what, you know.
And Brad's had plans, and I've had plans, and we've all found issues with the plans. And then we holler at each other a little bit.
But we still working.
We still like each other. Another thought out there, and maybe it's not the right thing to do, maybe it is the right thing to do, is to have somebody that has building experience do a study or do a space plan.
Analysis.
That would be an architect that would do that. I don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but it might be a good choice. And we did get a quote from a couple architects that was about $50,000 to do that kind of work.
Just to give us ideas.
To give us a plan. They should come up with a plan. It should be solid when they give us that plan. In the past, and I can't remember who did it or what the history is here. If you want to email me later, I'll tell you what it is. But the state of Wisconsin did do some library building planning guides. With that, there is checklists for going through the building and saying, you know, what do the ceiling tiles look like? What do the windows look like? What does the carpeting look like? What are your major systems? I'm getting a lot of information about major systems and upgrades that we'll have to put in the CIP there already. So we have a lot of the information. But then again, if it's Steve doing it, it's not having a consultant do it. And what we talked about earlier is sometimes the consultant needs to be the one that says, this is what we found. And that would be part of that. Also, the architects would do that work for us as well. I don't know about
that
getting-
one. We had that architect come in from Canotna.
The
Yeah.
FEH, yeah.
Yeah. What was?
They provided a look around of the building. I don't know that it was very complete. I don't know that it changed any hearts and minds in the city, or gave us any idea of what we were going to do with the space. They generally looked at the condition of the building. So that part is pretty good.
So they did more of a building analysis?
Buildings and-
Because remember,
yeah.
they showed us like some of the libraries where they totally changed one.
Like Kenosha.
Lake Geneva,
Yeah.
were, yeah.
And they would be willing to do that for us as well. They did give us a quote. I think it was pretty much the same as the other architect gave us. So that's something, either one would be a potential for us. But I want the board to discuss that and guide us on that, because I don't want to say this is what we need to do specifically. The other thing I think is it's important that there's some buy-in from the city, and I think we're in an interesting time right now. But I think it'd be good to have city council aware of the needs of the library, the building needs of the library. Maybe be part of the discussion from the get-go, maybe not. That's not, that's more of your all decision, not my decision. Another crazy idea from Steve. And who will they listen to most? It's not, I mean,
So
you know,
if we would get a consultant to give us recommendations, it would cost $50,000. Then it probably would cost another 50 to 100 to do the moving.
yeah, so moving will be a cost.
Carpeting probably have to be
Carpeting,
looked at
there's gonna be
because-
some carpeting that we're gonna have to buy one way or the other. And I'd like to stock up a little bit on our carpeting, because we are depleting our carpeting every time we move a shelf. But I think it'd be good to go through some of the planning materials that the state provides for building maintenance, building plans. Maybe talk about if we want to have the space planning done. But I think that's more of a committee job for the board rather than a Steve and Brad job.
Oh,
So I just wanted to throw that out there. And you can,
it's a committee, but there would have to be somebody on the committee, like a Brad or a Steve. Maybe not both, or it
Yeah.
could be one of the other.
yeah, one of us would be willing to do that. And we'll provide, I mean, we've got a lot of work done already, but I'd like other eyes and other voices at the table, because what I say we need to do may not be taken as seriously as when somebody who's appointed by the mayor says we need to do something. Hopefully that mayor respects the appointed you.
How can I say though, if someone is, and I have no problems having somebody from the, appointed by the mayor or anything like that, but my gut feel is that if we go this route, we go it on our own. It would be our money, possibly fund balance money or strategic plan money, which would possibly then wipe our balances out.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm saying is the city, no problem with them coming in but I think they would take a more laid back saying, this is you.
Yeah. Well, and when I say appointed by the mayor, I mean this
Means
board
us.
here. Not-
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pardon me, I took it literally.
Yeah. No, because you all were appointed by the mayor,
Right.
so
Oh,
that's what I meant.
oh,
So that's the one of the other things that I wanted to talk about. Well, that's two of the other things, because I talked about collection
Yeah.
balance, building maintenance. The third thing is pretty minor, I think, right now. I think it was Friday or Saturday, there was the IMLS in the
executive
order that affected the investigation of the IMLS. For the purposes of our board, I wanted to just point out that the IMLS was created in 1980, I think we decided, or somewhere around 1980. Libraries have been around for a lot longer than that. Our funding generally comes from the city and the county at the library level and even at the system level. IMLS does provide some grant funding for libraries. I did some research into that.
We don't get many of those.
We haven't gotten a whole lot of LSTA grants in the past. Those are typically the pass-through name that the state gives those grants from the IMLS.
And what about ALA? We don't get much assistance from them, American Library Association.
ALA, yeah, there's no funding that comes from ALA to us specifically. So there shouldn't be a whole lot of impact from our day-to-day services. The only concern that I have is like the trickle down of what value do we provide to the community, you know, and at a national level, they're saying that libraries and museums are not all that important to us.
Or education.
And well, yeah, or education.
Or education.
How does that play out locally? And we may have more discussions in this
Yeah,
community.
we'll just have to see what happens.
I
mean, that's the
honestly
thing.
feel that we are in a good community who values their libraries, who values their schools. We just passed that referendum not too long ago for schools. I'm not super concerned about it. And this shouldn't affect
The
funding.
other thing too, our library is under the state statute, so
Right.
that would require a hefty change. The federal can change what they want. We are ingrained in the state statute, so that would require legislation to make massive changes. And from the, I'll be nice, but from the experiences we've had with legislators, we're like just that little peanut out there, they don't care about us, they don't want to do anything. So chances are they wouldn't be doing legislation relatively soon.
Right.
So I think we'll stay pretty
Yeah,
stable.
I'm not too concerned about it in that regard either. I don't know at the state level what was funded through IMLS funds.
That's
And
what I
there
was
could be
wondering.
something at the state level that's funded through IMLS funds.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
And I haven't talked to my friend from the state
Okay.
that deals with that.
So that's a task for next month.
I'm pretty sure I'll learn more. I know that our system director will be learning more too. And I don't think there's anything at the system level that's even IMLS funded really.
I didn't think so
There
either.
might be an LSTA grant that they get occasionally, but I don't know if that's the case, so.
Okay.
So with that said, I was just invited to the National Forum for Privacy Literacy, and I was there last week, Monday and Tuesday at Penn State University, which is in the middle of nowhere. I thought I was gonna get out to Philadelphia or something like that. but the IMLS paid.
It's a mecca of college football.
It is
Yep.
a mecca of college football.
Yeah.
I did see the
Yes.
great Beaver
Blue
Stadium.
collar worker, that has been staked.
Yes. This was paid for through IMLS funding.
Well, you got in under the wire.
Look at that, look at that.
There was about 40 of us in attendance and another 40 online. And our task, should we complete it, or if we move forward from here, is to create standards and competencies for privacy literacy in libraries. So that is something that we were planning to provide to the ALA next year. I did also get to say a few things to one of the ALA board members about my feelings about the ALA, and that might be taken back to the ALA, and we might see some thought put into that. But it was a really good conference.
I'm sure, glad we got this politician on our side here.
Awesome.
It was a really eye-opening conference for me. I learned a lot, actually. I shouldn't say conference. It was a forum. So it was a very small group, really well laid out. We gelled over creating a game about privacy literacy the first night. And usually I skip the first night, those little icebreaker things, but I decided to wander down and see what this is all about.
Next, because you were out in the boonies and
Yeah,
there was
there's
nothing
nothing else
to
to
Right,
do.
there's nothing else to do.
And we had a good time. But Julia, I think the name Julia Weist was a visual artist that opened things up. She talked about the surveillance world and what she is. Well, she's a visual artist and she somehow got her PI license. And she says, I don't know how the heck they approved me for this PI license. And she did some work with public information, and then, well, the reason she got her PI license is she said, well, there's public information, but what about private information? So she got to find out all the tools and techniques that PIs use. And she said most PIs are former police officers or
Sure.
people who have done that. She shared her work, her body of work, and it was really interesting what she did to search for things that were specific to her. She was only looking at her own records, but it would bring back all the information. So Subaru's in her area, she's looking for her Subaru in her zip code or whatever, and give all the information of people who have Subarus in her zip code. And then she got into what they have all over now is these cameras that take pictures of license plates
Yes.
to allegedly keep the cost of insurance down and to defeat fraud. Well, it's not necessarily what it's used for. Well, she put a tutu on her Subaru, and she found her Subaru in this thing, and she made some art out of it. Well, anyway, she's being investigated now for her investigations.
Herself, investigation.
Because this information is sold to private companies, like insurance companies, who say they're using it to keep rates down, but it's not necessarily the case. And she's exposed some of that in her art. So, very interesting. She's at an administrative court, which is an interesting experience I learned about. That that's how they take your license away from you, is go through an administrative court. She thinks she's got pretty good documentation of why she should keep it. But
So, will you be meeting via Zoom or
we'll do probably some Zoom meetings or some online meetings
on a regular basis?
on a regular basis. We also had somebody speak about from the London School of Economics. That was pretty interesting. They came in for our thing. And then another person, the other thing that I thought was really good, Pedro de Santos, talked about consensus building and how to do consensus building while having conflict, and how important that is to have the conflict but also the consensus. So it was really interesting to, when we think about consensus building, I'll tell you, when Monarch library directors get together and it's consensus building, it's like everyone agrees and we move on because we don't like conflict. Except sometimes Steve says something. To stir things up, and that's kind of who I am sometimes. Yeah, there's a pattern in my behavior. But I only bring it up when other people feel the same way.
So you'll be updating us.
So I'll be updating you on that. But yeah, really great people I got to meet from all over the world.
Okay, well, thank you.
That's cool.
And I did sign up for a work group moving forward. I hope it's not too much work. So.
Stirring the pot and no work.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
That is all I have for my report.
Okay. Library director's report. I only have a question. Barb has had some issues getting the board packet. Has everybody been getting the board packet regularly without a problem?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably her,
I used to.
she's using her Monarch, you're probably putting it in spam or something.
I don't know.
Okay, so if we could
But I get
check
other
that.
I get other emails from him. I just never get the packets.
Okay, so
I
just,
go on the
but,
city website to get
but the
agenda
packet, when you send it out, you have it encrypted and we can't see who it goes to, so could you change that?
I can't. But,
You can't?
because all this goes through the clerk's office. But I will get on this and I will make sure
The clerk has the
that
right.
your address is correct. So you might get a couple, what I might do is I might have them test some emails. So if you get a notification for something coming up that you know is not real, ignore it and we will cancel it.
I have been getting leadership meetings.
That
No,
comes
that's
directly from Steve, though.
That's from Steve,
Yeah,
that's
I think
from,
there was something else though that was coming from the city that I was questioning why I was getting.
maybe you're getting that monthly or that weekly
Weekly
update.
I think it
We
is.
get, they put
Yeah.
everybody.
I get the weekly email just of the city anyways, but that's a different email address.
Okay, so,
I see that Jay's got has his hand up and I,
Jay, okay, yes,
we may have missed it.
Jay. Jay, do you have a question?
Oh, it was later. It was like earlier, but he responded to it in my talk.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right. Next agenda item is Monarch Report. Can you give us you had the Monarch meeting, is there anything
Yeah,
you
I
can
can just
tell us?
mention a couple of things. They're working on their strategic plan and as of, I don't remember, but all the data has been compiled by Wills. They made a webinar for the core focus group. The core focus team is meeting on April 24th again. We as a board are looking at the mission statement. We've got a couple of options and we just felt like we couldn't decide on it the other night because we just couldn't, and so now we're going to decide on it via email. Reedy talked about the Polaris upgrade, which should have been taking place this past Sunday night.
Did that go well?
It's done and I think everything's working now.
Okay, so there were a few blips.
There's a few
Yeah, this Monarch is
hiccups.
paying the initial fee for the libraries on that. She talked about the network replacement. Our West Bend Library cost is down $15.57 on that. The Operations Committee has been revising the handbook for the Monarch employees. And right now, the big item is bonuses and what's the language around bonuses, and right now they don't really have a language for bonuses. So they've kind of tabled it in a sense. I don't think tabled is the correct term, but they're going back to that because they do want to be able to give bonuses if they feel that they have been earned. But they just didn't have that language in the handbook. It's been quite a long process. And then we were given, I grabbed a couple extra copies of this infographic of stats from 2024 for the whole system. I thought you guys might like to see that it kind of lists it out in an easy way to
Did you post this on the website? I
don't know
thought I
if I
saw,
posted this one on the website or not. I
I
don't
thought I
think so.
saw something similar to
Yeah,
this.
it might be.
I think I saw the West Bend Library one, but not the whole Monarch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw too,
Yeah,
I
we
think
post
this
our
is
own.
fairly new, I think
Yeah.
it just came out
Okay.
this like,
Well,
which I appreciate.
Can we give you a copy of this and maybe you can?
I've got a copy.
Oh, and then you can maybe get that out there, okay. All right. Thank you very much for that update. Agenda item number 7A, Patrons Rules of Conduct Policy. Steve?
So the patron rules of conduct I sent out to you had an age limit. I don't know if we talked about this in this
No.
board ever. I usually get rid of the age limit because the parents are responsible for their children at any age, and children behave inappropriately at any age, or sometimes appropriately.
Right, sometimes.
It just by eliminating the age limit, it just makes it easier to say parents are responsible for their children in the library.
Everybody have a chance to review the policy? There was not much of a change, it was just crossing out that line.
Yeah.
Does anybody have, I'd like to call for a motion to approve.
I move to revise the rules of conduct policy.
Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of changing the policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thanks for doing that, Steve. I know said you've been going through some of the policies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think we'll try to make, touch on all the policies regularly anyway, just to see if we updated them.
Our next regular meeting is April 15th, tax day.
Tax day.
Tax day.
I got my refund already.
I did too.
Did you really? I just went today for my appointment.
Water softener and other things.
Assigned tasks. Bye-bye. Were there any assigned tasks?
Just for Steve's gonna check with the city about Barbara's, not getting the packet.
Yeah.
And then there was one about, I'm not sure, IMLS funding?
Oh, if
It's funded by the
eh,
state.
yeah, the funding,
That's-
Steve's gonna
that's-
take care of
We're
that.
gonna
Find
state
that.
funding.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on the task list? If not, it's 5:57,
Get your thing.
and she's gonna
Yeah,
get to it.
right.
So the meeting is adjourned.